Welcome back, Team DWC. It's your boy TWP Popcorn. Y'all know what time it is. 10 a.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday, 6 p.m. Wednesday. Regular posted schedule for TWP. Check the video description. Like it says right here above my head. You see it? Check video description. That'll let you know everything. You know what I mean? But it's right there too. So top, bottom, whatever y'all want to do. But today's video is on what's popping. Y'all know popcorn. That's what's popping. Yeah, before we go to that scene, we'll just fade to black right there real quick. And y'all know what time it is. Hit the butter. Alright, so we're gonna hit the butter. Fucking around with this phone. Y'all see where we at? 497. So close yet so far. We'll see how many I got when I wake up. Analytics. Y'all know y'all like seeing this. Proof he can get views. 11, 22, 13, 9, and 25. We got the views. What's it say on watch time hours? 1.9, 7.1. What is this? 12 yesterday. Thank you. 12 hours yesterday. It says I lost 2 subs yesterday. Cool. I lost another one since, if y'all paying attention, it says 496 right now. See, it's updating itself. It's catching up to its feeling. So, see, it was at 97. Now it's at 96. So, y'all was here to see it. Team DWC, y'all know we in the building. Let's check out our numbers. Let's see where we at. 39.21. Okay. Less than 80. Then we'll be there.
Normal sweet corn is way too soft, even when it's fully dried, and it isn't able to pop. To make popcorn, the kernels need to have much stronger shells, and a completely different type of corn is used. The kernels on this one are way harder, and they kind of feel like uncooked noodles. To pop it, it's apparently exactly the same as regular popcorn, and I can put it in a microwave. I'll put it in for 2.5 minutes, and now I just have to wait. Okay, so now I have a bunch of nice and fresh popcorn. Pretty good.
I had to get the video permission from the original author just to use my own intro for the beat. We know TSM did the lyrics on a YouTube copyright friendly beat, but they still try to hit me with copyrights. But I done went and found a person, got my motherfucking rights. So guess what? Like I said, we right back to it. I have written permission from the creator that says I can use my own intro on my intro for my intro. As they're talking about sign in.
TWP popcorn was poppin'. 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 TSMT, T, know they love me. Trust me, what a popcorn, it get buttery. Hit that like, that shit, subscribe, gonna show some love to me. I'll return the favor right back, it ain't hard to see. Yeah, I got a tempo, with TSM rap on the intro. TWP on a big mission, with TSM rap is a bit different. Go get you an intro from somebody else and come get one from me, better hit different.
You know that TSM intro hit hard. Shouts out to the person that made that copyright free beat too, because you know that shit fire. That's what makes it fire. That beat was fire. It's copyright free, YouTube. So if you keep trying to strike me for it, I already got the permission. So you know we gonna strike that shit up like Mr. Big said. Anyways, we got a video for y'all today. Actually, something educational besides me just sitting here talking to you. So let's review it.
The Cannabis Life Cycle, a presentation by CannaChange. As all living things do, cannabis plants mature through a sequence of stages as they grow up. When you grow your own cannabis, it is imperative that you provide the appropriate care throughout every stage of their life cycle. To do so, it is important to understand the phases that the marijuana plant undergoes throughout its natural life cycle and the variations in needs and behavior that differ and change at each stage. Each new stage of growth is going to require different care instructions. Each stage will require different amounts of water, nutrients, grooming, and light exposure. Being aware of the plant stages is also important in determining the sex of your cannabis. To begin, our 4 main stages of cannabis growth from seed to harvest are 1. The germination stage, 2. The seedling stage, 3. The vegetative stage, and 4. The flowering stage, where harvest follows at the end of this stage. The following overview of each stage will help you grasp what to expect during each step of your plant's life cycle in terms of needs and behaviors in order for you to provide the proper love and care for them and to ultimately encourage healthy buds for a hearty harvest. Stage 1. Germination. The first stage in the life of a cannabis plant begins when they are just a teeny tiny little seed. This phase can last anywhere from 24 hours to up to 7 days. When choosing your seeds, you can evaluate their quality by observing their color and texture. A healthy, developed seed should never be slimy, squishy, pale green, nor white. Instead, they should be absolutely dry and brown in color, which can vary from light to dark brown. Water is the crucial necessity of this stage. Whether in nature or in a controlled environment, seeds will normally lie dormant until they are germinated with water. When the cannabis seed absorbs enough water, they will erupt out of their tough shell and begin to sprout. What happens is that the provided water causes the embryo's tissues to swell and expand until it splits the seed's outer shell. From there, the new growth is able to develop into a tiny sprout. At this point, the little cannabis sprout is ready to be placed in their growing medium. As the cannabis grows and develops, its taproot will dig its way down to establish stability and find nutrients and more water. On the other hand, its budding stem will find its way up toward the sun, and 2 small preliminary leaves will grow out from its structure at this point. These 2 rounded leaves are called cotyledons. These small initial leaves help begin the process of photosynthesis. They are responsible for taking in the first exposure of sunlight necessary for the cannabis to grow strong and steady. As the stem grows and as the roots strengthen and mature, you should be able to witness the beginning growth of the marijuana's iconic fingered fan leaves. As these develop, the cannabis plant steps into the second stage of seedling. Stage 2. Seedling. The second stage of the cannabis life cycle begins when the plant starts developing the iconic fingered cannabis leaves. As a little sprout, the seedling will first produce fan leaves with 1 finger, then 3, then 5. Some cannabis fan leaves can grow up to 7 fingers or more as well. A mature seedling will have fan leaves with 5 to 7 fingers or more. Once your plant is developing mature fan leaves consistently, she or he has entered the vegetative stage. But before, during the seedling phase, your plant should stay short and develop dense vegetation with a lively and healthy green color. Make sure you are giving your plant enough light at this stage because as they grow throughout this phase, not enough light will result in them reaching. Reaching means that your seedling's weak and immature stems grow way longer than they are supposed to because they are attempting to get closer to their light source. This is not good for your seedling because their stems are not strong enough to support such height at this stage. Make sure their light source is close enough and or strong enough to your seedlings. Further, at this phase, there is no need to overfeed or overwater your sprout. The seedling's root system is not strong enough or big enough to support large quantities of food or water at this stage. They don't need much to flourish right now. Make sure their environment is clean and not too humid to prevent these vulnerable plants from mold and disease at this stage too. After a seedling stage of about 2 to 3 weeks and 18 to 24 hours of light a day, your plant should be entering the vegetative stage. Stage 3. Vegetative. The third major stage of the cannabis life cycle is when the vast majority of plant growth takes place. Once the plant begins growing consistent, dense, matured fan leaves, the cannabis seedling has entered its vegetative stage. At this point, the plant has developed strong root systems, a sturdier stem, and a few layers of thick, healthy foliage. Throughout this stage, if your cannabis plant receives the right amount of light, nutrients, and water, you are setting them up for exponential growth and a future flowering stage that is healthy and plentiful. During the vegetative stage, which lasts anywhere from 2 to 9 weeks depending on strain, growing method, and personal preference, your plant should be receiving 13 to 24 hours of light a day. We personally prefer to shower these vegetative babies with more light, at least 16 hours a day, in order to make sure their growth is vast and consistent. The plant will continue to stay in its powerful vegetative growth period as long as it's getting more than 12 hours of light a day. When the amount of light it receives each day drops below 12 hours, the vegetative stage ends and the flowering stage begins. During the vegetative stage, your plant should be expanding and growing more and more branches, each with its own thick, vibrant green leaves. Make sure you have planted your plant in a big enough pot or transplanted them to one so their roots have enough room to expand as well. This stage is also the time to begin training and shaping your plants. You can try low-stress training methods like using a trellis or tying branches down, or you can try high-stress training methods like topping. The point of training is to guide your plant to produce higher and more potent yields by creating more space for more colas. In terms of their watering schedule during the vegetative phase, make sure to increase watering amounts and frequency as the plant grows. Of course, don't drown your plant, but be mindful of the fact that as your plant develops, its root system will need more and more water to sustain itself. In terms of their feeding schedule, vegetative plants love healthy growing mediums filled with nutrients. Whether you're growing hydroponically or in soil, nitrogen will be the #1 nutrient that your plant will devour during this stage. Be aware of the signs of overfeeding and underfeeding throughout this stage though. Your plant will communicate what it needs or doesn't need through physical appearance in its leaves. It is important to be knowledgeable of all the nutrients that your plant needs for a healthy life and which work best throughout which specific stages. Once your cannabis is deep into the vegetative stage and begins approaching its flowering stage, you will be able to determine its sex based on the pre-flower located at the nodes. Female pre-flowers demonstrate 2 hair-like pistils growing on buds, and male pre-flowers produce little sacs that contain pollen. Make sure to keep them separated. Males will pollinate your females, pushing them to produce very seedy buds, which will ruin your hopes for dense and flowery yields. Speaking about female plants from here on out, after 8 or 9 weeks or so in this stage, your plant should be ready for the flowering stage. So shut off those lights to begin a 12 on, 12 off cycle, and let's finish this. Stage 4, flowering. The flowering stage is the last stage in the life cycle of the cannabis plant. This is usually the most exciting phase because it's when you finally get to see the rewards for all your hard work and dedication. The flowering stage lasts between 6 to 8 weeks, and it will be triggered naturally when the plant receives less than 12 hours of light a day. We advise 12 hours of light on and 12 hours of light off during this phase. The lack of light will trigger a hypothesized hormonal change within your plant that prompts her to produce sticky, aromatic, resinous buds. During this stage, your plant will focus all of its energy on producing flower, so keep a few things in mind. 1. Make sure they continue to receive adequate amounts of water, but watch out for those same signs of over or underwatering. 2. Make sure you stop cutting, topping, or pruning your plants once you start flowering because excessive grooming during the stage can cause hormonal upsets within the plant. 3. Make sure you are feeding your plant the proper bloom nutrients during this phase. These usually include higher levels of potassium and phosphorus. And lastly, make sure your plant is trellised so that she has proper support for the increasingly heavier buds coming in. Once the flower has reached full maturity, it's time to harvest.
Conclusion. After your plant has been in the flowering stage for some time, you should begin to take notice of the resinous, sticky, glittery, mushroom-like glands that should be covering your buds in a frost-like manner. These are called the trichomes and can usually only be clearly seen with a magnifying glass. They are chock full of therapeutic cannabinoids and terpenes. The trichomes and the pistils, which are the hair-like strands around and in your buds, will be your keys for understanding when to harvest. When 60 to 70% of trichomes go from clear to milky white, you have reached peak THC levels. It's the same with the pistils. When 60 to 70% have gone from white and straight to amber and slightly curled, you've reached peak THC levels. Any further development will lead to a breakdown of THC and a rise of CBN cannabinoid, which has more sedating, couch lock, and possibly even narcotic feelings. It's all up to personal preference. Thank you for watching, and please let us know what else you'd like to see for more cannabis content.
Y'all know we like cannabis content. Team DWC, TWP Popcorn. Today's theme, though, is what? Spamming what's popping. Y'all know what we're going to do real quick before we switch back. Hit the butter. Okay, did you miss me? Alright, shouts out to my dude with the funk. I don't think we'll be listening to this video, but we're going to put it on in the background. For some more visual stimulations. And the sound is still on. I'm just sitting here rolling up, so don't think y'all done lost me. Although I don't know how good it's recording. It was starting to sound a little better after my last video, so it is what it is. Either you hear me or you don't. If you don't, this is why I'm in the chat right there with you.
I always thought that popcorn
said, make sure y'all check out What the Phone. Might be in the chat, might be in the comments, whoever knows. Shit. So make sure y'all remember, don't be dropping no loops, just add each other. That's when you got jackets. Hit the go-to page. Pull up the page that way. Just remember, it's always easy to support somebody. Watch a couple minutes of a video, leave a comment. If it's the type of content that you actually like watching, make sure you set your bell to all. So that's what's up. I'll be hitting 500 subs close to the same time I hit 4,000 watch hours. That's what's up, bro. Success. I don't count how many subs I had. Yeah. Run them up. Another positive note about what's been popular lately. I believe it was rapper Jay-Z said, if my uncles would have been doctors and lawyers, I'd have been a doctor and a lawyer. Nephew like 7 years old.
Wait,
He's
Stewie,
trying to
where are
be a
you
young
going? I
YouTuber.
have to talk to myself, Brian, and find out what happened.
That's trying to play some
Brian?
videos. Videos.
You're me. What happened?
What happened? We don't care what happened to Stewie. But then again, that'll be enough for y'all, Team DWC. It's your boy TWP. Right at 30 minutes. Just like I do this. I'll see y'all in the morning, 10 a.m. Probably gonna be having a longer video, maybe some music and all that stuff. You know, the razzle dazzle for a Sunday session.